The cough is basically the initial symptom and the most telling, but then I got night sweats, I started losing weight, my breathing was very fragile. I had to be in quarantine for 3 months and then completed my treatment in 9 months.
What the critical path for TB drug regimens is all about is really telescoping the time it takes to make progress in developing new regimens, new treatments for tuberculosis. Not in decades, but in years.
In many parts of the world, tuberculosis has become resistant to the current TB drug regimens. Therefore, there is an urgent need for generating new multi-combinations of drugs.
We have 4 to 6 drugs that people have to choose from today. They have too many side effects. They don't really eradicate TB reliably and quickly.
It's really devastating, actually a big problem for me, because the first 2 months are just terrible. Because, okay, you have to use very strong drugs and you are also taking your antiretrovirals, it's just too much. Then you imagine the duration of another 6 months, taking 8 months in treatment is just too long.
In the year 2000, when the TB Alliance was founded, there were actually no drugs in clinical development specifically for TB, none. 10 years later, we now have 9 drugs. For the first time in history, we have the opportunity to take advantage of developing new regimens. Drug-sensitive TB is treated with a combination regimen of 4 drugs. Updating this regimen is a lengthy process because the current model of TB drug development includes testing 1 drug at a time. This process takes at least 6 years to complete for each drug. Regulatory authorities traditionally approve each new drug before another novel drug would be introduced for testing. With 4 drugs in the regimen, the process to get to 4 novel drugs would take a minimum of a quarter of a century. The CPTR initiative has come up with a better way. It brings together regulators and other partners to solve the regulatory, proprietary, and other issues that have historically impeded novel drug combination testing. In the process, it revolutionizes drug development by testing entirely new TB drug regimens at once. This could reduce the time needed to develop new regimens from decades to as little as 6 years.
Combining new therapies in new regimens is essential to get to this goal. New drugs need to be used in combination to get to effective treatment.
If we only test 1 drug at a time, resistance develops and we can actually make the problems worse. The CPTR will really be an opportunity for the industry that is committed to developing new combinations of drugs for TB to work with the regulators to create a new paradigm for product development.
We must simultaneously develop new regulatory processes that test drugs in combination earlier on so that these solutions are not dozens of years away, but hopefully only a few. So it is time for us to emerge from hibernation, to advance TB innovation and develop regulatory processes that can deliver innovation more quickly to the people who need it most.
As in many other fields of medicine today, collaboration is the cornerstone for success. At this moment, with the emergence of multi-drug resistant TB, the problem becomes a global problem. As a global healthcare community, we have to work on new TB drug regimens in order to bring that risk under control. We can't do it on our own, but we will be a significant contributor to new drug therapies for this disease.
Irrespective of where we come from, whether it's a slum, whether it's a big city, whether it's a football pitch, we still all share the same message that TB is preventable and we need to combine our efforts to address it.
The CPTR initiative is a fundamental commitment on the part of all the partners to the realization that the millions of patients who are dying unnecessarily cannot wait decades.
We are all connected by the air that we breathe. We are all vulnerable because of the air that we breathe.